Let's begin as we always do in our seated position, our comfortable, steady seat. I'm just going to take a moment, align your spine, let your shoulders relax, let your jaw relax. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale through the mouth. Notice how your body's feeling. And really check in with all the parts. It's so easy to go automatically to something that feels stiff or achy. And it's good to acknowledge that. And it's also good to acknowledge the parts that are doing great. So check in with all of your parts. And then begin a nice, slow Ujjayi breath. Notice any thoughts or emotions. Notice what your energy is like. And then also just go ahead and set your intention for your practice today. Palms come together in front of the heart. Restate to yourself and the universe very clearly and concisely your intention again. I'm going to take one more huge inhale. Big sigh. And we're going to come right up to standing in Tadasana at the front of the mat. So just taking a moment to really allow your feet to connect downward, to let your spine align and lengthen, to let your muscles engage. Just going to take a moment and feel yourself really preparing for your practice. On your next inhale, I want you to reach the arms up, spread the fingers, lift the chest, and hold it. One more breath here. On your next exhale, bend your knees, relax forward into Ragdoll. Make sure your neck is relaxed. Basically, make sure everything is relaxed. That's why we bend the knees a little bit. We want to try and get our torso somewhere close to vertical. Obviously, it's not going to be straight up and down for most of us, but if you can get somewhere close to vertical, the weight of your head will lengthen your spine. It's just drawing a tiny bit of space in between your vertebrae. On your next inhale, reach the arms all the way up again. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. And now we'll warm up a little bit. Inhale, reach the arms up, stretch up, and maybe reach back. Exhale, lengthen your spine as you fold forward to a standing forward bend. And then inhale as you come up halfway to a half forward bend and fold all the way back down again. We're going to step back with the left foot. Just come into this nice lunge. Right lower leg should be vertical. Knee is over the ankle. Left leg is as straight as you can comfortably get it. And then you try and let the hips drop down towards the mat a little bit. So we're already trying to create some length and space and separation here. Drop your left knee down to the mat. Put your right hand on the inside of your right knee. Roll to the outside edge of your right foot, and then gently apply some pressure to your right knee. So where you should feel this is in the right outer hip a little bit. And then go ahead and extend your right leg. Lengthen out the right hamstring. And if you flex your ankle and toes, you might also be lengthening out your right calf muscles. And then we'll bend the right knee. Go ahead and bring the arms up and overhead. Tilt your pelvis back, lift the rib cage up, and then just start to move the hips forward until you feel it in the front of your left hip, left thigh. So you can think of it as tightening the muscles at the bottom edge of your left glute, your left butt cheek. The more you tighten there, the more you'll open on the front of the left hip. And then we'll bring the hands back down to the mat and step back to plank position. Once you're in your plank, just hold it for a moment. Let your core wake up and engage. Now this first time down, we're going to modify. On an exhale, we'll drop down knees, chest, and chin. And then untuck the toes and just lift up into a baby cobra. Shoulders pull down the back, heart pulls forward. And then downward facing dog. Feel free to pedal your feet a little bit if you need to. It's your first down dog. Always a great place to see what's going on in the body. Downward facing dog can kind of tell you everything you need to know if you pay attention. And then we'll step forward with the left foot. Nice deep lunge on the left side. So just like before, you want your knee kind of vertically stacked over your left heel. You're trying to straighten your right leg and allow the hips to drop all at the same time. Space and length, that's what we're going for. And then we're going to drop the right knee down, put the left hand on the inside of the left knee, roll to the outside edge of your left foot first. Then you can apply a little bit of pressure. And where you should be feeling this is in your left outer hip. And we're going to go ahead and extend the left leg now and lengthen out the left hamstring and maybe the calf. So once your leg is straight, dorsiflex your left ankle, flex the toes. And then bend the left knee, bring the arms up and overhead. Pelvis tilts back strongly. And you move the hips forward. You want to keep the muscles right at the base of your right glute really contracted so that the front of the hip can open. So this isn't about relaxing that and get really deep and archy. It's about tucking that tailbone strongly so that you get the sensation where you're supposed to feel it, which is in the front of that right hip. And then we'll bring the hands down and step forward to our standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Look up halfway and lengthen. And then exhale all the way back down. Step back with your right foot this time. So you have a left foot forward lunge. Hold your lunge. You may always modify and do exactly what we did through our first series if you need to. But if you're able, we'll take this one a little deeper. We'll keep the right knee off the floor. So you're going to keep your right hand where it is. Rotate both feet a full 90 degrees to the left. Keep your right leg straight. Let the hips sink. Now you can either press a little bit against the inside of your left thigh or take your left hand to the ceiling or reach it in front of your left shin. But I want you to try and find sensation in your left outer hip. Rotate back around. Gaze forward so your back stays flat. And begin to straighten your left leg. Just getting a little deeper into your left hamstring. If you have the muscular control to actually voluntarily tighten your left quadricep, the top of your left thigh, you can do that and get even more length through your hamstring. And then we're just going to bend the left knee, bring the arms up and overhead. Just like we did with our knee down, tuck your tailbone under, tighten the muscles at the base of your right glute and allow your hips to drop. You should feel this very strongly on the front of your right thigh. Hands to the mat, step it back to plank. Hold your plank. And then on your next exhale, lower down, Chaturanga Dandasana. As you inhale, come into a full upward facing dog. Slight bend in the elbows, pulling your heart forward. And then downward facing dog. In this down dog, I'd like you to really flatten your palms, broaden the shoulders, push the tailbone up and back, and press your heels towards the mat. Step forward with your right foot. Again, feel free to drop the knee if you need to. Otherwise, we're going to keep our left hand planted. Rotate both feet a full 90 degrees to the right. Your left leg stays straight. I suggest you keep that left ankle very active. You want the hips to sink. You can either gently put some pressure on the inside of your right knee. You may take your right hand to the ceiling, or you may take your right arm in front of your right shin. But where you should feel this is in that right outer hip. So just making sure you've got some sensation there. Rotate all the way around, gaze forward, and begin to extend your right leg. So now we're getting a little deeper into the right hamstring. Just like on the other side, if you can voluntarily tighten the muscles of your right quadricep, the top of the thigh, the right hamstring will have a reflex release and lengthen even more. And then we'll go ahead and bend the right knee, bring the arms up and overhead. Same thing, keep the muscles at the base of your left buttock tight as you lift your chest and allow the hips to drop so that you can feel this in the front of your left hip. Hands are going to come down, step forward to your standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, lengthen your spine as you fold forward. Look up halfway, lengthen. And then back down. We're going to step back with the left foot. This time we're going to spin it flat and come up into Warrior Two. Just taking a moment to really find alignment. And once you feel like everything's kind of where it belongs, I want you to focus really intently on external rotation of the thighs. Imagine that your thighs are literally rolling outward. So your right leg is forward. You're very actively pressing the knee towards the little toe, but you're not rotating your right foot out. In fact, look down. Make sure it's parallel to the long sides of the mat. Just the knee is pressing out. If you reach back and feel Where your thigh attaches to your torso, that should be very contracted. And you're just gonna hang out here and keep breathing because we're working the outer hips today. Yay! Take a couple more breaths. Keep that right thigh very active as you take your left hand to your left thigh and reach your right arm up and over. Reverse your warrior. Right outer hip is still very, very engaged. Come all the way back up. Bring your right hand down inside the right foot or ankle. Left hand is up towards the ceiling. Keep that right outer hip very engaged. And in fact, most people come down here and they want to start leaning forward and stick their booty out because it basically takes away the sensation. I want you to do the opposite. I want you to lean your body against your right thigh, helping press it out even more. You'll know you're doing it right because you'll feel sensation in your right outer hip. Then I want you to bring your left hand down to the mat and swivel onto your left toes. Keep your right leg exactly where it is. Come onto your left forearm, and if you can, come onto the right. Hug your right inner thigh in towards your torso. And then walk your right foot to the right side of the mat. Rotate the right foot out. You're going to feel it differently now. Now your right outer hip is even more engaged. If you want, only if you have healthy knees and hips, you can put your right hand on the inside of that right knee. Left knee is still off the ground, by the way, if you can. Roll onto the outside edge of your right foot and apply a little pressure, and you'll really feel that in your right outer hip. We're going to rotate the right foot back, come back up onto our hands, step it back to plank, follow your breath through a vinyasa. As you get to your downward facing dog, notice if you're already starting to feel some difference between right hip and left hip. Your right hip should feel a little warmer, hopefully a little more open and loose. So now we do the left side, step your left foot forward, right foot spins flat. You're coming up into your warrior two. And as you find your warrior two, you just make sure your alignment's good. Then you focus really strongly on external rotation of the thighs, like your thighs are rolling outward. In fact, you really press your left knee towards the little toe. Now be careful, don't rotate your foot. Your foot is perfectly parallel with the long sides of the mat. Just the knee is pressing out so that right where your thigh and your torso touch, this is very tight and contracted. Maintain that contraction as you put your right hand on your right thigh. And reach your left arm up and over for your reverse warrior. Come all the way back up. Left hand to the ground inside your left foot. Right hand to the ceiling. So remember what I said before, a lot of people will lean forward and stick their booty out. Not us. We're going to actually lean back against that left inner thigh to really help the left outer hip get some sensation. It's almost like your left hip is moving forward and your right hip. Sorry, left hip is moving back and your right hip is moving forward. Go ahead and bring your right hand down. Swivel onto your right toes. Come on to the right forearm, maybe both. You want to keep your legs just like they are Your left inner thigh should very strongly be hugging in towards your torso. And then we'll walk the left foot over to the left side of the mat, rotate the foot out. If you want, you can put your left hand on your left inner thigh, roll to the outside edge of that foot and press a little more, only if that feels okay. Really trying to get into that left outer hip a little bit. And then hands come down. This time we're going to step back to plank again and flow through a vinyasa. From here, you may either walk or jump forward to standing forward bend. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Coming into a series of squats. Yay! You're going to take your feet to the edges of your mat or somewhere around there. Toes pointing directly forward for round one. But don't worry, on round two, you'll get to do the external rotation that most people want. Toes are directly forward. Heels are flat, and we start to drop the buns. Go as far as you can, but feel free to support your weight on your knees or thighs if you need to, or even hands on the floor. One more breath here. Come back up. Rotate the toes out. I know, big sigh of relief, right? For a lot of people, this is easier. Heels stay flat. Knees need to follow the toes. So they've got to really press out as you drop down into this wider yogic squat. Now, when you do this, you're going to feel your outer hips pretty engaged. Very different from the first one. Take a couple of breaths here. Go ahead and come on up to standing. We're going to go even wider now. I'm going to turn sideways. You may do the same. Now we want our feet wider than our shoulders. Toes rotated out to whatever degree you comfortably can. So we're going to be coming into a goddess squat now. And here's what I want you to be mindful of. Knees are very strongly pressing out towards the little toe. So we focused on that in a warrior two. But now your feet are externally rotated. But I still want you to really strongly press your knees out. So your knees should not be narrower than your feet. We're going to keep the torso vertical. I want you to bring your palms together in front of your heart. Really externally rotate your thighs right now and keep them externally rotating. And knees pressing out as you start to drop your buns. Try and keep your torso vertical. So we're not leaning forward here. We're acting like we're sliding our back down a wall. Very strong engagement in the outer hips. Interlace your fingers, but extend your index fingers up and just reach your arms overhead. Straighten your legs and release your arms. Come back to the front of the mat, feet together, palms together. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale, look up halfway. And exhale, back down. You can either walk or jump back to plank and flow through a vinyasa. Just take a moment, notice how your hips are feeling. They should feel pretty equal. They should feel pretty open. So I want you to take your right leg, straight behind you. Bend your knee and roll your hip bone open towards the ceiling. Stretch. Step your right foot forward up between your hands. Spin your left heel flat and come back up into your warrior two. Take a moment and really engage that right outer hip. So it's that external rotation of the thighs. Now from here, your right foot is going to slightly rotate in. I like to point my toes towards the upper left corner of the mat. You're going to let your left toes point up towards the ceiling and start squatting down, keeping your right heel flat. If your hands need to be on the floor, that's fine. If you can get your hands to prayer position, your right tricep or the back of the right arm is on the inside of your right thigh and you press it out. Keep your left leg very active. Now from here, all we're going to do is bring our hands to the mat and rotate all the way around. You'll find yourself in a low lunge. Drop your left knee down. Walk your right foot over to the left side of the mat. Drop the right knee down. And just like that, you'll be in pigeon. So go ahead and come onto your forearms if you can. Take a few breaths. Let that right glute and piriformis get some extra love. Three more breaths here. Now, as we come out of this pigeon, we're going to go straight back into that three-legged dog, shooting the right leg straight back, bending the knee, and rolling the hip bone open again, stretching. Then you can put your right foot down, shift into plank, and take a vinyasa. Left foot steps forward, right foot spins flat, warrior two. And so just like we did earlier, you're going to really focus on external rotation of the thighs. Left thigh very strongly pressing out towards little toe. Then you're going to rotate your left foot in a little bit. Again, I like to kind of point my toes that right front corner, up to you. But here's the deal. We want to keep the left heel flat. Right toes start to rotate up towards the ceiling as we squat. If you need to put your hands down, that's fine. If you can, palms are together and you're pressing that left tricep against the inside of your left thigh. And then from here, we'll just bring our hands to the mat, swivel all the way around. You're in a low lunge, drop the right knee, walk the left foot over. And we're coming into pigeon on the left. So your left knee drops down. It should be slightly outside of your torso. Right leg slides back until you feel it in your left glute. And then I'd like you to come down onto your forearms. One more breath. And then we transition straight back into that three-legged dog with the left leg behind us. We bend the knee, we roll the hip bone open again. Left foot comes back down, shift into plank, and flow through a vinyasa. From this downward facing dog, you may either walk or jump forward, standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, bring your palms together in front of your heart. So balancing today, outer hips and squat all together. You're gonna have two different variations of a standing balance pose. We're gonna stand on the right foot first. So the first thing I'd like you to do is cross your left ankle over your right thigh just above the knee. Flex the ankle, press the knee out. Reach your arms up. Begin to bend your right knee. And hinge at your hips, leaning out a little bit over that left thigh. You should feel this in your left glute. Now, we're going to go straight into our second pose. Hands to the ground, right heel lifts, and if your knees can handle it, you actually sit down onto your right heel. Maybe you can take your hands up. May not be a good day for me, we'll see. If you are feeling balanced, you can bring your palms together in prayer. And then hands back down. Come on back up and release both feet to the ground. It's always fun to play, right? Now we're standing on the left foot. You're going to bring your right ankle across your left thigh, just above the knee. Ankle flexes. Arms are up and overhead. We're going to poke the buns back as we bend our left knee, hinging at the left hip. Lengthening out over the right shin, right thigh. You'll feel this in your right glute. And then we'll go ahead and bring hands to the ground, lift the left heel and sit down on it if that's all right with your knees. And again, you can just kind of decide, does it feel like you'll be steady enough to lift your hands into prayer or not? I'm wobbly today. Hands back down. Come on back up and release your right foot to the ground. Feet together, palms together. Inhale, reach up and stretch. And then as you exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, back down. So you can either walk or jump back and flow through one last vinyasa. When you get to this last downward facing dog, please be very mindful of lengthening the spine and the glutes and hamstrings, which means not only are you reaching the hips up and back, but you're also reaching the heels very strongly down. Drop down to your knees. Let your knees be touching. Let your feet be untucked, please. Walk your hands back until they're on either side of your knees. Be gentle if you have knee issues, but I want you to just keep both knees together and on the mat and sit them off to the right. Maybe, and keep your torso kind of vertical. You're not trying to lean forward like a child's pose. You're trying to feel a little bit of a stretch in your right outer hip, and then we're just gonna shift. Take your buns over to the left. The knees are together, they're down, and our torso is vertical, sorta. Feeling a stretch on the left outer hip, and then we just swivel the legs around, and just like that, we are in Dandasana. Find your sit bones, lift your chest, hands on knees or thighs. Take a couple of breaths and kind of check in with yourself here. And then just keep your right leg straight. Bring your left foot to the inside of your right thigh. Let's lean out over that right leg. Come on up from that. Pick your left knee up. Bring it maybe 5 or 6 inches so that your left foot is that far away from your right inner thigh. In other words, your left foot's flat, but I want you to give maybe the amount of space of the width of the palm of your hand between your right leg and your left thigh, because you're gonna bring your left arm to the inside of that leg and lean out over your right leg one more time. Hugging left inner thigh in towards your torso. Now from here, we're just gonna play for a moment, because I always feel like I should be mindful not to cheat you out of some of the more interesting poses, but I'm also mindful that you have some injuries. If you have wrist issues, I would like for you to stay exactly where you're at. If you don't have wrist issues and you're feeling playful, you're gonna take your left arm under your left leg, keeping the elbow bent so you have a shelf for your left thigh to rest on. Keep your right ankle flexed and your right leg straight, right hand to the ground, and see if you can just lift everything up for a breath. Lower back down, put your left foot back down, and now twist to the left. Right elbow, if you can, is outside that left knee or thigh. So you're getting a nice spinal twist. And then if it feels okay, kind of pull that left leg a little towards the right so that you feel a little bit of a left outer hip stretch. Rotate to the front again, extend your left leg, reconnect to those sit bones. Feel free to wiggle if you need to. And then right foot comes towards the inside of the left thigh, and we lean out over that left leg. Come on up from that. Pick your right knee up. Give yourself some space. Remember, about the width of your hand, so you don't want your right foot up against the inside of your left leg. Right arm comes inside your right thigh. You lean out over your left leg again. So remember, if you have wrist issues, you're staying here for another couple of breaths. If you don't, you're going to take your right arm under your right leg and plant the hand. You want to keep leaning forward. That right elbow has to stay bent so you have a shelf. Left hand comes outside the left thigh. We keep the left leg straight, foot flexed, and for a breath, you lift. Lower back down. Release your right foot back onto the mat. Left arm outside of that right knee as you twist to the right. Once you get a nice spinal twist, if you can, push a little bit against that right outer thigh and see if maybe you can get some sensation in your right outer hip. And then turn back around to the front, extend your right leg. One more time, find those sit bones. And then with your legs extended, Paschimottanasana, just a nice seated forward bend. Lengthening out. From here, we'll go ahead and roll onto our backs, hugging the knees in, rocking side to side. And then just a little more outer hip opening. I want you to place your feet flat with your knees bent, but we're going to take the feet wider than the mat, so they should actually be on the floor. I want you to drop both knees to the left. Just take a moment, pause. You might even want to look down and notice where your right knee is. If you're not feeling enough stretch, the first thing you do is move the right foot back to the right a little bit. So if I look down, and I have a really straight line from my right armpit through my right hip to my right knee, that's good. So maybe this is enough. If you still want more and you're in that straight line position, then your left foot can go on top of your right knee and you relax that left leg and you got a little bit of weight, a little leverage, and then you just breathe. So you should feel this in that right outer hip, maybe a little bit in the top of the thigh. We just breathe and hang out. All the hard stuff's over. Take the left foot off the right knee if it was on there. Put it back outside the mat to the left. We'll bring both knees up. Drop them over to the right now. So both knees are dropping to the right. Just pause for a moment. There's never any need to rush. And so then we look down. If the left knee is kind of to the inside of the mat and you want more stretch, move it out. If you look down and you've got a straight line from your left armpit through your hip through your knee, you're good. Don't go any farther back than that. And then you decide, maybe you want to put your right foot on top of your left knee, maybe not. Either way, relax and breathe and look for subtle sensation in your left outer hip, maybe a little bit at the top of the thigh. Right foot's going to come back off and outside the mat. Just bring both knees up. Your feet should still be wide. And then prop your knees together. Now, once the knees are touching, keep them touching. And see if you can get your feet a little farther apart. Keep the knees touching. You should feel a little bit of outer hip sensation here, and it should be different from what you just felt. Take one more breath. And then just give your knees a good hug and rock side to side. So at this point, we're going to take just a few breaths to do an inversion. You can do the inversion of your choice, right? So bridge pose, shoulder stand, plow, headstand, handstand, anything that makes you happy, that gets your abdominal organs higher than your heart or your heart higher than your head or both. So just for like 5 or 6 breaths, do the inversion of your choice. On your next exhale, go ahead and slowly come out of your inversion. Hug your knees, rock side to side. We're just going to finish up with a quick twist. So just keeping both knees bent and together, simply drop them over to the right. Let your left arm open out to the left, and we'll take a few breaths. On your next inhale, bring the knees up, and as you exhale, drop them over to your left. Right arm opens up to the right, and we take a few breaths here. On your next inhale, bring your knees back up, give them a good squeeze, grab the outside edges of your feet, do a little happy baby exploration of the hips, hamstrings, and low back. Just move around. See what you did this morning in your practice. You should be able to feel some stuff. And then we're going to bring the soles of our feet together on the mat and let the knees drop open. Take a breath here. And then on your next inhale, press your low back into the mat, just lengthening out those low back muscles. Hold it while you breathe. And on your next exhale, just release, relax, extend your legs. I usually recommend a little inner outer rotation. In other words, roll your thighs in and out a couple times and then just totally relax and let them flop. Make sure that your feet feel like they're the right distance apart for today's practice. It can be different every day. Glutes are relaxed, spine is long, neck is long, shoulders are relaxed and far, far away from the ears. Hands are relaxed with the palms facing upward below the shoulders. Jaw is relaxed, eyes are softly closed. Facial muscles are relaxed. We take a deep breath in. Exhale with a sigh. Exhaling out any remaining muscular tension. Exhaling out control of the breath. Exhaling out everything. We're literally just letting go. And so as everything just settles and sinks into the mat, just start noticing your breathing. Obviously, you're not controlling it because we already let go of control of our breath, right? So you're just noticing it. And as you're noticing it, you begin to coordinate the phrase, let go, with your breath. So that when you're breathing in, your mind is saying let, and when you're breathing out, your mind is saying go. Every time you breathe in, let. Every time you breathe out, go. If you notice that your mind has wandered off, gently bring it back to your breath, back to those 2 words, let go. And now for the next few breaths, let go of those 2 words. So now there's nothing except the awareness of the inhale and the awareness of the exhale. And that's all. Keep your mind focused right there. Awareness of the inhale, awareness of the exhale, and that's all. And then allow that awareness, pardon me, to move throughout the rest of your body. Noticing what you've done with your practice this morning, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, energetically. Start to move the fingers and toes. Start to deepen your breath. When you're ready, take a deeper inhale, spread the fingers and toes. Exhale through the mouth as you relax them. Even deeper breath in as you stretch. And exhale as you relax. Bend your knees. You may hug them in if that feels good to you, or you can just let your feet rest on the floor and just kind of pause. Remember, never any hurry or rush. And then go ahead and roll to your right side. Maybe pause there. And then press yourself up into sitting. So as you come to your seated position, find a straight spine, let your shoulders relax. We're going to do a little bit of a variation on an alternate nostril breath. It's a different way of balancing out the nadis or the energy channels. So you'll be blocking your nostrils and you'll be using your right hand to do that. The first 2 fingers of your right hand can tuck underneath the pad of the thumb to create Vishnu Mudra. And you can allow those 2 bent fingers to rest under the nostrils. And you'll notice that just automatically makes it super easy to block right nostril with the thumb, left nostril with the ring and pinky finger. Now, if your hand doesn't do that, you can take the first 2 fingers of your right hand and just gently rest them in the center of your forehead. And the same thing applies. Right thumb blocks right nostril, ring and pinky block left. So here's what your pattern is going to be today. And I'm going to turn you loose to do it on your own so that you can really focus inward as you're breathing. You're going to do 3 breaths where you inhale through the right nostril and exhale through the left nostril. Very slowly, deeply, fully, right? Not rushing, taking your time with slow, deep breaths. And you will do all 3 of those in a row. Inhaling through the right, exhaling through the left. Then you're going to let your hand rest down for a moment. You're going to take 3 normal breaths through both nostrils. Then you're going to do 3 more breaths where you inhale through the left and exhale through the right, slowly and deeply. Okay, so it's a total of 9 breaths. Inhaling through the right, exhaling through the left 3 times, relaxing your hands, breathing normally 3 times. Inhaling through the left, exhaling through the right 3 times. And as you finish all of that out, you can bring your palms together in front of your heart. Let's begin together, and then you're on your own. So take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale completely through your nose. And begin. So as you're finishing up and pressing palms together in front of the heart, just take the opportunity one more time to notice how you feel. How does your body feel? How's your breath right now? What about your thoughts? What about your emotions? What about your energy? Whatever you have felt just now, take a moment in gratitude for that. We are always exactly where we are supposed to be and how we are supposed to be. Take one more huge inhale through the nose. Big sigh. Palms to the forehead, just reminding us to stay present. Palms to the lips, reminding us to speak our truth. And palms to the heart, reminding us to keep our hearts open, to practice kindness, compassion, and love always. Thank you so much for being with me as we practice. Namaste.